You know what I'm
But
saying?
Luis,
Like,
we have such an invasive society now, which is what makes a lot of it difficult. You try to discipline, like for example, I'm with you going through the airport. You try to discipline your kid. As a matter of fact, this happened when I left out Sunday. Tried to discipline her kid in the airport. She wasn't spanking him. Two other women decided that they would tell her how she should discipline her kid. And even worse than that, even worse than, well, I didn't see a man, but even worse than that, the the society that we live in now tells tells parents that they can't stop their they can't go in the room when their kid has a doctor's appointment if the kid doesn't approve. If the kid wants to have, for example, in the state of North Carolina, if a child under the age of 18, between 14 and 18, I believe is what it is, ends up getting knocked up because she's out here moving recklessly, she can go delete the child without the parents' permission. Like right now, they're moving things, removing. I'm sorry, let me say the word removing some of the parental rights when it comes to their kids. Like we are in an upside down society, and it's quite invasive.
JR wants to play this video.
I love what you said a little earlier about the guys that you were dating. They were good, but they weren't ready. I had a story time go viral about my most recent ex, how he was a really good guy, treated me well, but that was not my husband, period. It wasn't my husband. And people were really confused because they were saying, well, if he was a good guy, he treated you well and he raised your standard. What's wrong? But it's just like, there is a big difference between a good guy and a husband, a huge difference. And if the compatibility, the spirituality, our walks with God, what we want in the future, how we want to have a family, if those things don't align, who cares how good he is?
Yeah.
Because that's not my husband. But people were really confused on that. And I'm just like, how is that a difficult concept? I date good guys. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always going to date a guy that buys me flowers and open my door. That's base level.
Everybody ain't dating a Pookie and a Ray Ray. I didn't date Pookie and Ray Ray.
Yeah.
And every good guy is, like you said, it's not for you. You might be an amazing woman. Every man is not going to see that. Every man is not going to want that at the same time. And our value doesn't come from how a guy or a man sees us. Our value comes from ourselves and God.
yeah, I have to take a moment and kind of challenge that for a second. I'm gonna say this. She started off with and leading into the good guy. And we've had this conversation on King Talk among the fellas. Ladies, there's a huge difference between a good guy and a good man. A good man is more leaning towards being a good husband or in parallel with a husband. A good guy is a guy who's trying to get along to, trying to get along to move along, right? He is your yes man. He has no backbone. He has no boundaries. He has no non-negotiables. That is your good guy. That's the guy who is not trying to rock the boat. That is the guy who sees and knows that you're doing something wrong, whether you are presenting bad, whether you are speaking in an ill manner, or you're embarrassing yourself or him, and doesn't say anything. Doesn't say, "Let me talk to you for a moment." Hey, I don't know what's going on with you this evening, but that's not how you conduct yourself. That's not how you do this. Like we're leaving this evening early because unfortunately we've already embarrassed ourselves. Get your stuff and we're ready to go. That's a guy who sets the standard and the tone for the relationship and the things to come. Let's be very clear between the good guy and a good man. The thing about it is that a lot of women talk about wanting a good man, like this woman in the video. The thing is that good man comes with standards. That good man comes with boundaries. That good man comes with a certain level of respect that is required. And he also has a high bar as well that unfortunately a lot of women can't reach. And so therefore they will conflate the idea that the good guy is good enough because they know that they're that the man that they want and desire, they are not prepared for.
So I'm not
So
going to
I
argue that point. I, I'm not going to argue the difference between a good guy and a good man, because a good guy could have standards. I mean, it could be almost anything. But how do you create a savage, ladies? You want to know how you create a savage? You have a good guy who wants to do right by you, and you say, "F you, we're not compatible," without defining whatever those compatibilities are, without helping him understand. Because if he wasn't able to identify that there were compatibility issues, what is it that you see that maybe you should have the conversation with him? But if you want to create a savage, go ahead and let him go, because I'm gonna tell you what a good man can typically run across almost any chick, figure out how to talk to her and keep it moving. That's how you create a savage. I ain't gonna deal with that type of shit anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's actually what happens far too often. But again, Luis, I'm not gonna argue the difference between a good guy and a good man, because I mean it really depends. There's a difference. Just because you're a yes man, that doesn't make you a good guy. So I'm seeing it as a man any guy that's willing to do what he can for his family, as a good person. Then furthermore, you talk about marriage. The good guy turns into a good husband. Stupid. Did you even think about that? Oh, he not my, like, he not my husband. Of course he's not your husband, bitch. He trying to get to know you. How about y'all try to get to know each other, figure out if it's actually something that y'all want to work through, then go from there. But you've already discounted this dude because he's not your husband. The shit didn't make sense. Used a lot of words to say a whole bunch of nothing. I'm sorry, that's that stupid shit that pisses me off. Go ahead, y'all.
well, I did hear her say. So, for example, um, if you guys, we were just talking about religion, right? We have two different religion beliefs. Whether he be atheist, I believe in God. He could be a good guy, but that's really strong to me. You want kids, I don't want kids. That's strong. I do want kids, you don't want kids. Something else that's strong. We were just talking about the vision. Maybe his vision or his purpose. I'm just like, we were talking about men who were on their, seeing action. He may have a plan, no action. He's a nice guy. He does all these things for me, but you got all these plans and you ain't even working towards those plans. It can look like so many different things that are no, you're not on the same page. It doesn't mean that you're less of a good person. It's just that you're just not on the same page with certain things. Even when it comes to personalities. Y'all ever had a personality conflict? And it's not like that she's a bad person, you're a bad person. Y'all just personalities just don't go right together, So it's
No,
just
that's
so many,
true. Yeah,
it's just so
compatibility
many,
is very big.
yeah,
Well,
so
let's
many things that can
yeah.
mean.
Well,